Whenever I was a teenager, growing up, I had a great family and grew up going to church. And I had a great grandmother. She was great because she introduced us to faith and studied the Bible and had prayer meetings at her house and attended a little wood frame church in Graham, Texas, and just the old style worship, and so I had that as my foundation. In 1994, I came to a crossroads, and I could have gone one direction and lived in a worldly way, and not had a very good life. I was very successful in business because God gave me a lot of gifts and talent, so I had a lot of success from that aspect of it. But personally, it was very poor and a lot of failures. And so in '94, I came to that crossroads, and fortunately, I had two friends that saw that and really insisted that that they introduced me to something that could change my life, they thought. And so I went on a walk to Emmaus in September 1994, and they were right. It changed the way that I was going to go.
I came to the Lord and asked Him into my heart when I was 9 years old, and then as I got older, never doubted my Lord, that I'm the one that kind of strayed away. But what I love about the Lord so much is when you ask Him into your heart, He puts that seal on you. And I'm so grateful because when I did make my mistakes, and because the Holy Spirit's in you, and you get back on your path.
And one day, my mom was shopping here at the Jones of New York store that Lori was managing, and they got to talking. And my mom was always looking out after me, and so she saw that glowing personality that Lori has, and she says, "You need to meet my son." She said, "Is that right?" And of course, she just happened to have a picture, And fortunately, it was a good one, I guess. So anyway, Lori was kind enough to give me her phone number, and but again, it's funny how the Lord works, because I did call her and asked her and left her a voice message, but she didn't call me back. And so it's kind of interesting. And about a year goes by, but she wasn't ready either at that point in time. And it's just amazing how the Lord works.
Yeah.
And so about a year went by. My mom called me up. She said, "I'm going shopping down at Hillsboro again. Do you want me to see if that lady's there? And if so, do you want me to see if you can call her?" And I said, "Well, okay." So sure enough, Lori was there again. And my mom being mom, she said, "You didn't call my son back." and
I did. I told her, "Adam, call me again."
Yeah.
I picked up.
That's right, you did, yeah.
Okay.
And so we had our first date, and it was fabulous.
He put us together, and we can relate to knowing the Lord early. Our own decisions kind of straying from the Lord, and the Lord being there for us when we realized that's what life is all about. So,
well, and I learned through all that, and I think you did too, is that the Lord answers prayers, but He may not answer the prayer in our time frame. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was almost 10 years from the time I started praying for someone like Lori to come into my life before He actually did. But through that, I gained a lot of patience, I gained a lot of perseverance, I grew deeper in my faith, and learned that there were other ways to live and not be lonely by placing more faith on the Lord and rather than having a companion, even though that's what I wanted. It's so easy because of the worldly ways that we live in to fall away from that and not be. I mean, it's just every day it's a struggle, and from many different directions, as you know. But whenever you get up every day and you surround yourself with prayer and you pray for God to give you the strength to glorify Him in all that you do, which includes glorifying you and loving you the way Christ loved the church. And when you focus on that, and that's your number one goal every single day is to love you as the way Christ loved the church, it makes it pretty easy. And I make mistakes because I'm a human being. I look at it, and when the men get together, we have to start standing up again as Christians and as and men. Men have a great responsibility to be good leaders of their family and to be good leaders in the community. And I think society has forgotten about that over the last few years. And support the ladies and everything that they do and treat them equally. I was reading this week in my devotional, the first person Jesus Christ appeared to after He rose from the dead was Mary Magdalene. Think about that. He didn't appear to His disciples, He appeared to Mary Magdalene. That's pretty awesome. And that's how important that Jesus Christ knows that the role of women in our society and the role of men as well. It's equal. And we've got to rise to the occasion as men and women to make this country what it should be and to love one another and respect one another. And that's where I see the ministry at Central Baptist Church going. It's a little pebble in the pond. It starts out as a ripple. And if we can maintain that, it's going to be so cool to see how far that ripple goes.